Welcome, chosen ones. A fool will break the wings of an eagle and wonder why it no longer soars. That's exactly what happened when they fumbled you. They clipped your wings, laughed at your struggles, and thought they had you trapped. But now they watch in disbelief as you rise, higher and stronger than ever, leaving them behind in the dust of their own mistakes. They never understood your worth, and now the loss is theirs to carry. And let's be real, how humiliating must it be for them? Imagine realizing too late that you had a diamond in your hands and tossed it away like a pebble. They didn't just fumble you, they threw away their greatest blessing. Now they stalk your moves, watching from the shadows, trying to figure out how you keep winning despite everything they did to hold you back. But here's the truth: when you are chosen, no amount of envy, betrayal, or sabotage can stop what the universe has set in motion for you. Before we go deeper, do me a favor, like and subscribe to spread this message to more chosen ones. When you engage, you signal to YouTube that this message is reaching those who need it most. And trust me, the more we empower each other, the more unstoppable we become. Now, let's talk about what makes you so powerful, so haunting to those who doubted you. The chosen ones walk a path that few can handle. Your energy is different, your mindset is unshakable, and your resilience, it terrifies them. Why? Because they thought breaking you would be easy. They underestimated your ability to rise from the ashes. See, the universe doesn't choose just anyone. You were built for the storms they sent your way, and instead of drowning, you learned to walk on water. The people who fumbled you didn't just lose a person, they lost a force that could have uplifted them, protected them, and even led them to something greater. But their arrogance, their jealousy, their small-mindedness blinded them. And now, they're left watching from the sidelines as you step into the power they never believed you had. You see, the biggest mistake they made was assuming you needed them. But what they failed to realize is that chosen ones never truly lose. They evolve. Every betrayal, every loss, every setback was nothing more than fuel for your transformation. While they remained stagnant, you kept moving, kept growing, kept winning. And that's why they can't rest. Your success is their biggest nightmare. Every step you take forward is a reminder of what they threw away. Every level you unlock is proof that they were never capable of handling someone like you. They were playing checkers while you were playing chess, and now the game is over. So, chosen one, hear me when I say this. You were never meant to stay where they left you. You were never meant to be confined by their expectations. The universe always had something bigger for you, and that's why they had to go. They weren't strong enough, wise enough, or worthy enough to stand beside you on this journey. And that's their burden to bear. So, keep moving, keep rising, and keep being the proof that they made the worst mistake of their lives. Because at the end of the day, the ones who fumbled you, they will never, ever recover from it. And thank you, yes, you, the chosen one, know this. Your presence here is no accident. Whether this is your first time here, or you've been walking this path with us for a while, you are part of something bigger. If you're ready to own your truth, shake the foundations of those who doubted you, and step into the power they never saw coming, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and drop number 77 in the comments to confirm that their discovery came too late. They thought they knew your story, but now they're realizing they never even read the first chapter. And now, let's break it down, step by step. Because if you're a true chosen one, you'll feel it. The pull to stay until the very last word. Let's get started. Number 1. They played with fire, thinking it would never burn them. Some people mistake a sleeping lion for a house cat until it wakes up. That was their biggest mistake. They thought your silence was submission. They thought your patience meant powerlessness. They believed they could manipulate, provoke, and test you without consequence. They took your kindness as an open door, your tolerance as an invitation, and your grace as a weakness. And now they sit in the ruins of their own arrogance, realizing too late that they were never in control. You were. You see, chosen ones move differently. You don't react like the rest. You don't waste energy on meaningless battles, and you don't engage in chaos. While others are quick to show their hands, you stay unreadable. While they scramble to control narratives, you watch in silence, calculating every move before making one. But what they failed to understand is that your silence was never ignorance. It was strategy. They were playing a game you had already mastered. They thought they had the upper hand because you didn't lash out, because you didn't expose them, because you let things slide that others wouldn't. They took that as permission to keep testing you. But chosen ones don't waste energy on proving points to people who don't matter. You knew who they were all along. You saw through the fake smiles, the subtle digs, the quiet betrayals. You clocked their moves before they even made them. And still, you let them think they were winning. But the universe does not allow its chosen ones to be played with. It aligns itself to remove those who don't belong in your story, either by exposing them or by letting them expose themselves. And that's exactly what happened. There came a moment, a single shift, when they pushed too far, when they thought they had you under control, when they mistook your restraint for permission. And then you withdrew. You removed your energy, your presence, your access. No warnings, no explanations, just silence. And suddenly, they felt it. The absence. The void where your presence used to be. The sudden realization that the power was never in their hands. It was always in yours. That moment haunts them, because it was never you who needed them. It was them who needed you. And now they're restless, because they finally see it. They finally understand that your calm wasn't compliance. It was a silent red flag they ignored. It was the universe giving them a chance to stop playing with fire before it burned them alive. But they didn't listen. They kept going, blind to the warning signs, thinking they were untouchable. Now they replay every moment in their minds. Every time they tested you, every time they pushed, every time they thought they had you figured out. They wonder how they could have been so blind. They thought they were leading the game, but the truth is, you were letting them walk straight into their own downfall. Regret is a slow poison. It seeps in when they least expect it. When they see your success, when they hear your name, when they realize the doors that are opening for you while theirs remain closed. And that's when it hits them. They didn't just lose you, they lost their chance. Because here's the thing about chosen ones. Once you leave, you never return. There are no second chances, no do-overs, no rewinds. They can sit in their regret. They can analyze their mistakes. They can wish things had gone differently. But none of that changes the fact that they lost access to something rare, something irreplaceable. And the most painful part, the realization that they did it to themselves. So let them watch. Let them sit with their regret. Let them experience what it means to fumble something they were never meant to hold in the first place. Because the truth is, they were never playing with you. They were playing with the universe, and the universe always collects its debt. Number 2, they thought they were the judges, but you were never on trial. A diamond never begs to be recognized. It shines, whether seen or unseen. That's what they failed to understand. They believed their validation held power over you, that their approval was the key to your worth. They thought you needed their claps, their compliments, their shallow praise to feel valuable. They were wrong. They played the game of control, using validation as a leash, tightening it when they wanted to keep you small, loosening it when they wanted you to chase. They wanted to be the ones who decided when you felt important, when you were worthy, when you had made it. They believed they were the gatekeepers to success, the ones who could make or break you. But here's the reality. You were never waiting for their stamp of approval. You never played by their rules because you were never in their game. And that's what broke them. See, most people they've dealt with have folded under that pressure. They've watched others bend, compromise, and seek validation like it's oxygen, willing to do anything for their approval. They expected the same from you. They thought you would shrink, that you would seek their applause, that you would need them to affirm what you already knew about yourself. But instead, you moved differently. You carried yourself like someone who already knew their worth. You didn't flinch when they withheld recognition. You didn't break when they downplayed your greatness. You didn't crave their attention, their compliments, or their permission to be who you are. And that confused them. They couldn't understand how someone could move with such quiet confidence, so unbothered, so secure. They kept waiting for you to seek them out, to prove yourself, to fight for their approval like so many before you. But instead, you walked away, uninterested, unaffected, untouched by their games. And that's where the embarrassment sets in for them, because now, looking back, they see it so clearly. They were playing a game you weren't even participating in. They were trying to withhold something you never needed. They thought they were dangling power over your head when, in reality, you had already outgrown their entire existence. Now, they sit in the aftermath, questioning themselves. How did I misjudge them so badly? Why didn't they care about my validation? Why didn't my approval matter to them? The answer is simple: because your worth was never up for debate. They were so used to people needing them, craving their attention, chasing their validation. So when they came across you, someone who couldn't be controlled that way, their whole illusion shattered. It exposed their own insecurity. Because if they weren't the ones with the power, if they weren't the ones deciding who mattered, then what did that make them? Irrelevant. And that truth stings more than they will ever admit. Now, they're left watching from a distance, seeing your glow, witnessing your success, and realizing, too late, that their validation was never the fuel behind your fire. Your light was never theirs to give or take. And that's the part that will haunt them the most, because deep down, they know they fumbled something they never even deserved to touch. Number 3. They traded a diamond for dust, thinking they'd never notice the difference. Fools only realize the worth of gold when they're left holding rust. That's exactly what happened when they thought you were replaceable. They convinced themselves that you were just another face, another presence, another connection they could swap out like an old accessory. They thought they could fumble you, walk away, play their games, and simply find another you. That was the biggest mistake of their life. They had no idea what they were losing when they had you. They were too blinded by arrogance, too caught up in their own delusions to recognize the rarity of your presence. They assumed that just because they had access to you, that meant someone else could take your place, that your energy, your wisdom, your loyalty could be duplicated. Now they're choking on that realization. Because the truth is, chosen ones are not replaceable. You don't just fill a space in someone's life. You become the space itself. You don't just bring value, you transform the environment you step into. You are the one who brought clarity to their confusion, peace to their chaos, and depth to their shallow world. They didn't just lose a person, they lost the glue that held everything together. And the moment you left, everything started to unravel. See, they thought it would be easy. They thought they could walk away and immediately find someone else to play your role, someone else to give them the wisdom, the loyalty, the presence you gave so effortlessly. They went searching, convinced they would find better, or at least something similar. And that's when reality hit them like a freight train. Because no matter where they looked, no matter how many replacements they tried to force into your place, none of them measured up. The conversations felt hollow, the energy was off, the connection was weak. And suddenly the weight of their mistake came crashing down on them. How did I let that go? Why can't I find that same feeling again? Why does everything feel less now? Because you weren't just a part of their life, you were the standard. And once you set the bar that high, nothing beneath it will ever satisfy them again. Now, they're scrambling, fumbling through weak connections, trying to fill the void they created. But the problem, you were never just an option. You were the only one of your kind. They can try to replace you, but every single attempt will only remind them of what they lost. Because here's the thing about people who think everyone is replaceable. They only understand the concept of rarity once it's too late. They only recognize true value when they've already thrown it away. And that's the regret they will have to live with. You see, chosen ones don't look back. You don't entertain second chances. You don't return to people who treated you like you were disposable. Once you're gone, you are gone forever. No apology, no realization, no guilt will be enough to undo what they did. And that haunts them. Because they know now, there is no one else like you. They can chase shadows, they can search for echoes, they can try to rebuild what they shattered. But at the end of the day, you were the one thing they could never afford to lose. And now, they have to sit in that loss for the rest of their lives. Number 4, they took the sunlight for a flashlight. Now they're stumbling in the dark. A fool will hold a diamond in their hands and call it a rock until they realize they're left with nothing but dust. That's exactly what happened when they failed to recognize the power of your aura. They felt it. From the moment they met you, something about you pulled them in, an unspoken energy, a presence they couldn't quite define. You didn't have to try. Your aura naturally commanded attention, respect, and curiosity. They sensed the depth in you, the wisdom in your silence, the strength in your composure. And yet, they underestimated it. They thought it was just charisma, just charm, something fleeting, something surface level, something they could replace. They mistook your energy for something common, something that could be found elsewhere. They believed that what you brought to their life could be replicated, that they could walk away from you and still experience that same gravitational pull elsewhere. But the truth? Your aura wasn't just a spark, it was the sun, and now that they've stepped out of its warmth, they're realizing just how cold the world feels without it. See, people like you change the atmosphere when you walk into a room. You don't just exist, you shift things. Your energy uplifts, inspires, and awakens. People feel seen around you in a way they never have before. They feel a presence that speaks louder than words, a vibration that resonates deep within their spirit. And those who are wise, they recognize it immediately. But fools, they take it for granted, and now their world feels dimmer. Now they move through life without that invisible force guiding them, without that rare presence that once gave them clarity, comfort, and confidence. They thought your energy was just an extra perk in their life, not realizing it was the very thing elevating them. Now they feel the absence, the hollow space where your presence used to be, the silent void that no one else can fill. And here's the part that haunts them the most. They didn't even realize what they had when they had it. They had something extraordinary right in front of them, but instead of valuing it, they dismissed it as ordinary. They assumed they'd always have access to you, that your energy would always be there, that your light was something they could dim and relight at their convenience. And now they're chasing shadows. They're looking for replacements, trying to find another presence that feels the way yours did. They're surrounding themselves with people who might look the part but don't carry the energy. They're searching for the same depth, the same wisdom, the same unspoken power you carried so effortlessly. And they're coming up empty-handed. Because what you bring, it's not teachable. It's not something you can fake, borrow, or manufacture. It's something born into you, something cultivated by the universe itself. And once someone loses access to it, they never get it back. And that's what eats away at them. That's what keeps them up at night. That's what makes them replay every moment, every interaction, every chance they had to appreciate you before it was too late. They thought they could walk away and find another you. Now they finally understand. You were never just a spark. You were the fire. And now they're the ones left in the dark. Number 5. They thought they were breaking you, but they were only forging steel. The fire that was meant to destroy you only melted your chains. That's the part they never saw coming. They thought you were fragile, that you were easy to shake, that the right amount of pressure would be enough to bring you to your knees. They believed pulling their support, throwing roadblocks in your path, and feeding you doubt would break you down. They thought they held the power to control your rise. And now they have to watch in horror as you thrive without them. See, weak people assume that silence is weakness, that patience is submission, and that grace means dependence. They mistook your ability to endure for an inability to fight back. They thought that if they withdrew their validation, if they made things harder for you, if they threw you into the fire, you would crumble. What they didn't realize is that the fire wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to refine you. Chosen ones are built differently. You don't fold under pressure. You evolve. You don't break under stress. You transform. And every single time life has tested you, every moment you were faced with adversity, every time someone tried to count you out, you didn't just survive. You became stronger. So when they played their games, when they set traps, when they sat back and waited for you to fail, they were writing a story they didn't even understand, because all they did was speed up your process. Every obstacle they placed in your way became a stepping stone. Every time they tried to make you doubt yourself, you doubled down. Every door they shut in your face only pushed you to build your own. And now they have to live with the weight of their mistake. Because the very thing they thought would break you became the reason you can't be touched. They thought they were essential to your success. They assumed you needed their support, their presence, their so-called influence. But now they're realizing the ugly truth. They were never a pillar in your life. They were never the foundation. They were nothing more than a temporary distraction. And that embarrasses them. They wanted to be the reason for your success, or at the very least, the reason for your downfall. They needed to believe they had an impact, that their absence would leave you lost, that their attempts to sabotage you would set you back. But instead, you kept rising, Now they're watching from the sidelines, stuck in the same place, while you've surpassed every expectation. They can't ignore the reality that their schemes didn't work, that you've become untouchable, that their efforts to break you were nothing more than wasted energy, because in the end, you didn't just survive, you dominated. And now they're haunted by one undeniable truth. They bet against you and lost. Number 6. They mistook your mercy for a license to betray. A bridge burned by arrogance can never be crossed again. That's exactly what happened when they mistook your forgiveness for foolishness. They thought your ability to let things go was a sign of weakness, a flaw they could exploit. They believed they could move recklessly, betray without consequence, and then rely on your kindness to clean up the mess they made. They played themselves. They didn't realize that forgiveness is not forgetfulness. You saw every lie, you felt every betrayal. You recognized the disrespect, the manipulation, the audacity of their actions. But instead of reacting with anger, you chose grace. You chose to rise above their games. You refused to let their darkness pull you into the same low energy they thrived in. And that confused them. They thought if you weren't seeking revenge, you must be weak. They thought if you let things slide, it meant you didn't notice. They believed your mercy was an open door, an invitation to keep crossing the same lines over and over again. But they misunderstood the assignment. Your forgiveness wasn't a free pass. It was a final chance. A test they didn't even realize they were taking. And they failed, miserably. Because when you forgive, it's not because you're blind to someone's nature. It's because you've already decided they're not worth your energy. They thought they were getting away with something, but in reality, they were just revealing themselves, showing you exactly why they never deserved a place in your life to begin with. Now, they're haunted by their own arrogance, because one day they woke up and realized something had changed. You were gone, not with an explosion, not with a dramatic goodbye, not with screaming or threats, just silence, just absence, just the undeniable weight of the fact that their actions had finally cost them everything. And that's the part that hurts the most. They were expecting a fight. They were expecting to see you struggle, to see you beg, to see you try to hold on. But instead, you simply let them go. And that shook them to their core, because it meant they weren't as powerful as they thought. It meant they never had the control they believed they did. It meant you were never dependent on them in the first place. And now they sit with the crushing realization that your forgiveness was the last thing tethering them to you. And once that was gone, so were you. And the cold truth, you're never coming back. They fumbled the one person who gave them chances they didn't deserve. They lost the one soul who had the capacity to understand, to uplift, to heal. They thought they could play in the presence of grace and walk away untouched. But the universe doesn't work that way. Now, every connection they have feels different, hollow, temporary, meaningless. Because once someone has experienced a chosen one's mercy, a chosen one's love, a chosen one's energy, nothing else will ever compare. They thought they could replace you. They thought they could find someone else who would tolerate their cycles of betrayal and half-hearted apologies. But what they didn't see coming was this. There is no second chance with a chosen one. Once you've shown them who you are, once you've exhausted their patience, once you've reached the limit of their forgiveness, that door closes forever. And that's why they can't move on. That's why the regret lingers. Why the silence is deafening, why no distraction is enough. Because deep down, they know they weren't worthy of your forgiveness. and now they'll never experience it again. They thought they were playing you, but really they were playing themselves, and the game is over. Number 7. They built a cage, never expecting you to grow wings. They thought they buried you, but they didn't realize you were a seed. They never saw this coming. They never imagined you would outgrow them, outshine them, outrun them. In their mind, you were meant to stay exactly where they left you, small, predictable, confined to the version of yourself that made them feel comfortable. They thought they knew your limits, your potential, your future, and that was their greatest miscalculation. Because you didn't just grow, you evolved. You became something they never expected, something they never even considered possible. You shed the expectations they placed on you, broke free from the invisible leash they thought would always keep you within reach. And now they're watching in shock as you soar past every boundary they set. They thought you needed their validation. They assumed you'd always look to them for approval, that you'd seek their recognition before making a move. They believed you'd always stay within their orbit, never daring to step into something greater. But chosen ones don't ask for permission to evolve. While they stood still, believing you would never surpass them, you were transforming. You were sharpening your mind, elevating your spirit, and preparing for something they never saw coming. And now, the gap between you and them is undeniable. It's embarrassing for them, not just because of your success, not just because you exceeded their expectations, but because they now have to face the truth. They were the ones holding you back. They wanted to keep you in a role that no longer fit. They tried to limit your growth, downplay your potential, make you doubt your own abilities, because the thought of you surpassing them was something they couldn't handle. They mistook their control over your past as power over your future. And now, that illusion is shattered. They underestimated you. They laughed at your ambitions. They rolled their eyes when you spoke about your vision. And now, they're watching you become everything they swore you'd never be. Imagine the humiliation. Imagine realizing the person you once dismissed is now unreachable. Imagine witnessing the rise of someone you tried to keep small. Imagine seeing the one you overlooked, stepping into a power so undeniable that even you have no choice but to respect it. That's what they're facing right now. Because here's the thing, you didn't just outgrow them, you outgrew their entire mindset. Where they saw obstacles, you saw stepping stones. Where they doubted, you believed. Where they settled, you kept moving. And now they're stuck, trapped in the small world they tried to keep you in, replaying every moment they tried to downplay you, every time they convinced themselves you wouldn't make it. They could have supported you. They could have grown with you. They could have been part of your journey. But instead, they're just another chapter in your story, a reminder of the past, a footnote in the narrative of your evolution. And the worst part, there's no going back, because chosen ones never shrink to fit where they've already outgrown. You've stepped into a new reality, one where their opinions, their limits, and their presence no longer hold weight. And now they have to sit in the aftermath, watching the one they underestimated become untouchable. Number 8. They threw their shadows at you, but you were already standing in the light. Weak people don't want to heal, they just want to infect others. That's exactly what they tried to do to you. Instead of confronting their own insecurities, instead of dealing with the cracks in their own foundation, they made you the problem. They couldn't face their own self-doubt, their own lack of confidence, their own shortcomings, so they did the easiest thing. They dumped it all on you. They saw something in you that terrified them. It wasn't just your confidence, your growth, or your resilience. It was the fact that your very existence forced them to see everything they weren't. And that was unbearable for them. So they did what weak-minded people do. They criticized, they belittled, they planted doubt in your mind, hoping it would take root. They tried to make you feel small because deep down, they knew they were the ones who lacked substance. They disguised envy as advice, masked insecurity as concern, and threw passive-aggressive jabs disguised as jokes, all in an attempt to make you question yourself. But here's where they failed. You didn't absorb their poison. They expected you to shrink under their words. They thought if they made you doubt yourself enough, you'd stop growing, stop shining, stop proving that everything they said was a lie. They wanted you to carry the weight of their issues so they wouldn't have to. But chosen ones, we don't carry burdens that aren't ours. You saw through the manipulation. You recognized that their words had nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own lack of self-worth. You understood that the way they treated you was a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. And that realization is what haunts them now, because the truth has settled in. It was never you who was lacking. It was them. They wasted so much time trying to tear you down, hoping it would make them feel better, stronger, more powerful. But now they're stuck exactly where they were, if not worse. Because while they were projecting their fears onto you, you were rising. While they were focused on keeping you stuck, you were moving forward. While they were wasting their energy on trying to shake you, you were busy proving that their words had no power over your destiny. And now, they have to live with the embarrassment of knowing that everything they did to hold you back only made you stronger. Every doubt they tried to plant in your mind, you used it as fuel. Every insult they threw your way, you turned it into motivation. Every time they told you that you weren't good enough, you showed them that you were more than enough, and then some. And now they're left to sit with an uncomfortable truth. Their attempts to break you only expose their own weakness. Because here's the thing about chosen ones: you don't break under pressure. You don't crumble when faced with doubt. You don't internalize the insecurities of others. You rise, you evolve, you transcend. And that's a reality they'll never escape. Because while they wasted time trying to dim your light, you proved that you were the sun all along. Number 9. They laughed at the caterpillar, never expecting the butterfly. The ones who doubted your rise are the same ones now squinting at your shine. They were never ready for your glow-up. They never thought you'd become the version of yourself that stands before them today. Confident, unshakable, thriving. In their minds, you were supposed to stay the same, stuck in the version they were comfortable with, the version they thought they could overlook, control, or dismiss. But they didn't realize that chosen ones are always evolving. Every setback, every betrayal, every moment of doubt you endured, it wasn't breaking you, it was building you. Every loss was a lesson. Every hardship was fuel. You were never stagnant. You were in the process of becoming. But because they were too focused on who you used to be, they never saw who you were destined to become. And now, they don't even recognize you. Not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You move differently. You speak with power. Your presence demands respect. You radiate confidence that wasn't given to you, but earned through the fire of your experiences. And that has them shook. They're scrambling now, trying to understand how they missed the signs, how they once had access to you, but never truly saw you. They mistook your quiet moments for stagnation, your struggles for weakness, and your patience for complacency. And now they see the truth. You were never waiting for their approval. You never needed their validation. You were always destined to shine, but they were too busy underestimating your journey to realize it. Now, they're left watching from the sidelines as you step into your full potential, watching you succeed in ways they never imagined, watching you become the person they swore you'd never be. And it's eating them alive. Because here's the thing, people only appreciate what they understand, and they never understood you. They didn't see the depth of your ambition, the strength of your resilience, or the magnitude of your potential. They only valued the version of you that was still in progress. Now they're suffocating on regret, because they had a front row seat to your journey, and they took it for granted. They could have encouraged you, they could have grown with you, they could have celebrated you, but instead they ignored you. And now they're stuck replaying every moment they overlooked you, every time they dismissed you, every chance they had to stand beside you but chose not to. Now they watch as you soar without them. And the most painful part, there's no coming back, because the version of you they knew, that person no longer exists. You have elevated, ascended, evolved. You shed the past like dead weight and stepped into a new reality, one where they no longer belong. Your glow-up isn't just a personal victory, it's a statement, a loud, undeniable truth that echoes in their minds. You were never the problem. They were just never prepared for your greatness. And now they have to live with that. Number 10. They treated your presence like air until you became a rarity. People don't notice the light until they're left in the dark. They thought you'd always be there, always available, always ready, always just one call away. They believed they could come and go as they pleased, dipping into your energy like a bottomless well, taking what they needed and leaving just as quickly. They assumed you would never change, never wake up, never realize that your presence was never an obligation. It was a privilege. And now they're choking on their own arrogance, because you're gone. See, for the longest time, they mistook your kindness for infinite access. They thought that no matter how many times they disappeared, they could always return and find you waiting. That no matter how much they drained you, you'd always refill yourself just in time for them to need you again. They thought you were a constant. But what they failed to understand is that even the kindest souls have limits. Even the most patient hearts reach a breaking point, and even the chosen ones learn when to cut the cord. And that's exactly what you did. At first, they didn't notice the shift. They assumed you were just busy, just distracted, just going through something. But then, the reality started settling in. You weren't just distant, you were done. No more answering their calls immediately. No more being their emotional safe haven. No more rescuing them from their own mess. You removed yourself from the cycle. And that hit them harder than they ever could have imagined. Because suddenly, the source of their comfort, their validation, their energy was gone. And now, they're feeling it. They're realizing just how much they relied on your presence, on your wisdom, on your ability to make things better. They're noticing how empty their life feels without you in it, how much duller their days are now that they no longer have you to run to when things go wrong. It's embarrassing for them, not just because they lost you, but because they never even considered the possibility that you could walk away. They were so used to the cycle, take, without ever wondering if one day you'd stop giving. And now, as they sit with the weight of their own choices, they're forced to confront the painful truth. Your presence was never guaranteed. You were never obligated to be their savior. You were never meant to be their emotional safety net. You were never supposed to be their personal source of healing, while they gave you nothing in return. And yet, they assumed you would be. Now they're scrambling, reaching out with fake check-ins, lurking on your social media, trying to see if you've truly moved on, dropping passive hints, hoping you'll reach out first. But the door is closed, locked, sealed, bolted shut. Because the truth is, chosen ones don't stay where they are taken for granted. You don't keep giving to hands that only know how to take. And this is a lesson they will never forget. Because once they lose access to you, there is no coming back. Number 11. They thought they were the ladder until you learned to fly. Some people will watch you build wings and still believe you need their staircase. That's the delusion they lived under. They truly believed that you needed them to win, that without their approval, their guidance, their so-called resources, you wouldn't get far. They convinced themselves that they were the key, the missing piece, the gatekeepers of your success. And now they're watching in stunned silence as you rise without them. They assumed you were dependent on their validation, their network, their knowledge. Like without them, you'd be lost. They believed their support was a privilege you should be grateful for, something you couldn't possibly succeed without. But what they failed to see was the power that was inside you all along. You were never waiting for a handout. You were never looking for a shortcut. You were never dependent on them the way they imagined. You were always going to make it, with or without them. And now they're embarrassed. Because they see it clearly, they were never your foundation. They were just another piece of the scenery, temporary characters in a story that was always bigger than them. They thought they were writing your destiny, when in reality, they were just spectators. The biggest wake-up call for them was seeing you achieve everything they swore you couldn't without their help. Every milestone you hit, every door you kicked open, every victory you secured, it was proof. Proof that their opinions were irrelevant. Proof that their absence was not a loss. Proof that your success was never in their hands. It was in yours. And now they have to sit with that realization. I thought they needed me. I thought they'd come back. I thought they'd fail without me. But instead, you kept moving. And the more you succeed, the more foolish they feel, forever thinking they had control over your destiny. Because here's the truth. If someone can take your success away, it was never real success to begin with. But yours is real. Yours is untouchable. You built something that cannot be taken, borrowed, or controlled. And that's what eats them alive. Because they were convinced you wouldn't be able to do it alone. They wanted to believe that their influence, their connections, their presence was the reason for your growth. But the truth, they were never the power source. You were. And now, as you continue to rise, they are left behind, watching in disbelief. Watching as the empire you built without them grows bigger, stronger, and more unstoppable by the day. They thought they were essential. They thought they were irreplaceable. But now they know you never needed them. You only needed yourself. Number 12. They thought they were the prize, until you walked away without a second thought. The real power move, leaving without looking back. They thought they had you locked in. They thought you were too attached, too invested, too loyal to ever walk away. In their mind, you were a permanent fixture in their life, someone who would always be there, always forgiving, always waiting. They were wrong. They took you for granted because they believed their presence was irreplaceable, that no matter what they did, no matter how little effort they put in, you would always stay. They thought you'd hesitate, struggle, fight for the connection, even if it meant sacrificing your peace. They assumed you needed them more than they ever needed you. But the day came, and when it did, you walked away like they were nothing. No begging, no warnings, no dramatic goodbyes, just silence. And that's what shattered them. It wasn't just the fact that you left. It was how effortlessly you did it. How clean, how unbothered, how completely detached you were. They weren't expecting that. They thought if you ever walked away, it would be messy. That you'd leave a door open, give them a reason to believe you'd come back, cling to the history you shared. Instead, you vanished. And now they're left scrambling. Because in their eyes, they were special. They were the ones who had control. They believed they were the prize, the ones with the upper hand, the ones you would always chase. But now they have to sit with the bitter truth. They weren't as important as they thought. And that truth, it's humiliating. Imagine thinking someone couldn't live without you, only to realize they were already prepared to cut you off the moment it became necessary. Imagine assuming someone would always need your validation, only to watch them thrive without even acknowledging your absence. Imagine convincing yourself you mattered, only to discover you were completely dispensable. That's the reality they're choking on right now. They expected you to beg. They expected you to check in. They expected you to struggle with the separation. But instead, you flourished. You didn't just walk away, you leveled up. You didn't crumble. You didn't look back. You didn't show any signs of weakness. And that eats them alive. Because now they know they never had power over you. The connection you had, it was never built on dependence. Your loyalty was a choice, not a necessity. And when the time came, when their presence became more of a burden than a blessing, you made the choice to leave. And now they have to live with it. They sit there, replaying the moments, trying to pinpoint when they lost you. Was it something I said? When did they stop caring? Why aren't they reaching out? But the truth is, they lost you long before you ever physically left. The moment they started treating you as an afterthought, the moment they assumed you would always be there, the moment they stopped putting in effort, that's when you started detaching. So by the time you walked away, it was already too late. And now, they're the ones stuck in the past, watching, regretting, realizing that they'll never get another chance. Because chosen ones, they don't do second chances. Once you prove that you don't value them, you lose access forever. No amount of regret, no amount of hindsight, no amount of sudden realizations can change that. And that's a wound their ego will never recover from. And just like that, the truth is clear. They fumbled you, and now they have to live with it. They thought they had control. They thought they were irreplaceable. They thought you'd never walk away. But now they're just another lesson you outgrew. Let them watch. Let them regret. Let them sit in their own downfall. You've already moved on. If you're a true chosen one, show your presence. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, drop number 77 in the comments, and share this message. Because the more we rise, the harder it is for them to ignore what they lost.